cornerstones. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is Black State University's College of Business. And this is our very first cohort, the financial cohort about personal finance. My name is Clarence J. Evans. I'm actually one of the directors here. Also on the line with us is, well, let's go ahead and start off at the very, very top. That's our dean, is the Valmore Gold, who is the dean and president of Black State University. We also have our, I guess, the president of the College of Business, and then also the vice president of Black State University, Mr. Jasante Williams, also known as Noodles. Okay. And then we also have another fellow director, Ms. Zene Brooks, also known as Zenith Zena. Okay. My name is Clarence J. They call me Jedi. So welcome. We thank you so much for just taking the time out just for you being open to learn about your personal finances. This is one thing that really touches our heart. So what we want to do is we're just going to go ahead and dive right in to the presentation, and hopefully you gain as much as you can. Make sure you have some pen and paper nearby you, so that way you can write down as much as possible, because there's going to be a lot of nuggets that'll be here. You also will be able to, of course, pause this, and you can take screenshots as much as you want. All right. So, all right, everybody, say hello to everybody. Everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. All right. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get things rolling here. All right. All right. So, hey, all right. And we are, once again, this is a personal finance cohort. So we're really talking about literacy of finances and building your legacy. All right. And this is going to be talking about budgeting, savings, and all that good gravy. Okay. All right. So here's a little of an outline that's going to be happening today. All right. We're going to have a small introduction about all of us. We'll do this really, really quickly again. Actually, we'll probably just jump right into the financial struggles. We're going to talk about budgeting today as well. So talking about savings and also about credit cards. All right. So here at Black State University, we are a collective of progressive creators, innovators, and educators. So our main aim is to create art, but also impact the Black community. We want to have a space where any Black construct we have a positive impact to the Black community, and also ultimately impact all communities. All right. And you'll hear a little bit more from Mr. Valmore Gold, who's our dean. You'll hear back from him hopefully maybe later on or in future courses. Right. So now, who is Black State College of Business? So we ourselves are a small village who just strive to affect as many communities as possible. So we are really big on creating financial literacy and legacy for the Black community. We all have leadership regarding accounting or financial coaching, or Jasante does real estate. So so we have a deep background in regards to some of the things that affect, hopefully can help the communities that we are trying to touch, and look forward to, of course, providing all that information for you. You will be able to have opportunities to get in contact with us through the College of Business email that will always be available for you. So here's the team. Once again, you got Noodles, Zenith, Zene, and myself, and we are the ones that make up the team of the College of Business. All right. So once again, Noodles has the real estate. He's a real estate broker and investor. Actually, Zenith is actually our CPA. So she just recently received that, and also we need to add on to this new author. So she just actually put out a book recently. And myself, Clarence J., and financial coach, haven't written the book yet, but I do like to read. Here's our curriculum. So course one is going to be personal finance. We're going to be talking about budgeting, credit card savings, and all that. That'll be today, and then also next week on the 29th. Course 2, Mindset Matters, where we're going to be discussing that on April 23rd through the 30th. We're talking about mental discipline and practical application of everything that you're going to be learning now. Course number 3 is going to be Wealth Building. That's going to be July 23rd and the 30th. We'll talk about earning income, taxes, and entrepreneurship. And then course number 4 is going to be our financial portfolio. We're going to talk about home ownership, debt management, and investing. So that's going to be on October 22nd there. And that's also October 29th as well. So why are we doing this? That's a good question. I don't know if anybody from the team wants to maybe answer that, but basically right here, what we see is, I mean, we have we have to really be intentional about educating our people. But we want to do it in a way that it resonates. I'm not sure if you ever saw our videos, but we are a very funny, but we are also very serious about helping our community. And this is one thing that we really want to impact for future generations. So, question to the floor. How many of us learned finances either in high school or in college? And our panel is open to answer these questions. Any of you learn anything about finances in high school?
I'll jump in and chime in. Well, I'd like to welcome Melissa. Thanks for joining College of
Hey,
Business.
Val.
Hey,
Melissa's a very old friend, and we go well over a decade out in California.
nice.
And an avid supporter of all things Black State, rock the merch. Hey, Melissa, be on it. So thank you for your continued support.
Thanks, Melissa. Good seeing you. Quote unquote. Good seeing you.
Hey, Melissa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Great. So I learned a little bit in high school, but it's always or me, and then also my friends. It was in the form of what the people before us knew. So it wasn't really formalized. A lot of it was just tribal knowledge and their best practices, which might not have been great practices. But it wasn't like a whole lot of intentionality of sitting down going, this is what you do. I didn't get that until I got married and my spending habits was off the chain because I didn't grow up having a lot. But then when I start getting a consistent paycheck, now I want to get all the flyer stuff. And my wife was like, bro, we need to sit down and talk about these finances. And I'm like, what? I got dope, get paid in a couple weeks. We ain't worried about it. So just living from paycheck to paycheck without having a bird's eye view or overall vision and goal for what finance looks like. I didn't know what an APR was. I didn't know, credit. I didn't know the basics. And as I got educated on the basics, because my wife held me accountable to those things, then I started to learn. And then on top of that, I surrounded myself around people who knew more than I did financially. And then they would listen to us because we even had a ceiling. So in all of this, as I kind of close, because I can be very long-winded, I think the important thing is not only having some part of intentionality on your part to grow your knowledge, but then also surround yourself with people that can pour into you as it pertains to this.
I'll chime in as well. As far as high school and younger age, my information on education, on finance and research was trash. All right. Trash. There was really, I grew up, just full transparency. It was a very rough time as a single parent, so trying to make ends meet, just day-to-day spending to try to support the family. And in high school, they taught me nothing. I think we had one econ class, and I think we cooked more in that class than we did actually do anything about business. I learned how to balance a checkbook once. Right. I think we had one class on balancing checkbook, but they really didn't teach anything as far as what our economic profiles need to look like, what our financial profiles need to look like, how to manage, our paychecks. Again, just kind of piggyback off of Valmore, man. When I got married, it was just my wife didn't really hold me accountable like his did because we both were trying to figure it out at the same time. So we both were just spending money. Then after a while, we're like, hey man, no, I'll tell you what it was. We both lost our jobs at the same time and realized we did not have a savings account that would allow us to be able to still maintain ourselves economically, during hard times. So it was that right there that triggered me to say, all right, I really need to get surrounded by those who know about money, right, in the long run. So no, we didn't have that background beforehand, which I think would have been extremely beneficial for those moments that I went through hardships and hard times. But did surround myself with those people, and I would say at the end result has been very, very good and lucrative. But prior to that, it was very challenging because there was no education there, and that's where this level of intentionality for this class is to help individuals gain that information and knowledge so that they can thrive economically and build a future and legacy for their families moving
You
forward.
told me you learned a lot in that class with Shannon Duck Highs.
I'm muting myself now.
Yeah, somebody please mute the dean.
And real quick, let me say this again before we move on. I'm sorry, he threw me off for a second. That's what this class is all about. The previous slide was there. We really want to help people build financial legacies for their families. Some people may come on here and be in the class. You say, "Hey, I know a little bit about finances, but I do want to take this to the next level. And what are the things I can do? What tools and techniques and strategies can I deploy that will allow me and my family to be in a very, very good economic situation and trickle down and create these standards, right, and practices so that, they don't have to go through some of the challenges that you may have experienced, that I may have experienced in the long run." And we want to have a good time doing it. A lot of times when we talk about finances, people get real, clam up because you got to expose some stuff. You might have to expose some bad habits, some bad practices and things of that nature. And we're here in this space. This is a safe place to be able to share that. It's a safe place to be able to gain some knowledge and information. And you definitely started the right step by joining this class and getting the grasp of your finances.
Agreed. Now, I think some of you kind of touched on it as well. Some of you kind of learned your initial habits of money when you were younger. You really didn't. That is always where we get our first stage of learning about how to handle, our money and everything. So for myself, my mom actually was the one who she worked on helping me to know about I have to put some things away for savings. So that was the one main thing she told me though too. So how to continue to do that though was that was always the troublesome one. That was always the tough one. So I think that just as Newell's was just saying as well, that's something that most families really don't get educated on early on. We don't, there really is no directions for your paychecks. And some families, I mean, they just don't talk about that because there is a little bit of a lack of literacy in regards to our finances though. And this is where we at the College of Business, this is where we're really stepping in to make sure that we can provide at least an avenue for people to be able to receive that information and to become more literate. So some of the things I want you to think about as you're doing this class is, where do you want to be with your finances within 5 years? And then also think about what you want to do maybe in 10 years. How do you want it to look? That is also going to be a building and foundation for you. So that way it helps you just to have a clear vision of what you're looking to do. All right. So let's go ahead. We're going to talk about financial struggles because we want to go ahead and get the elephant out the room as quick as possible. Right. I'm going to open up again to the floor. What do you consider is the biggest financial struggles for the Black community? And open this up again.
It's a myriad of things. I believe,
okay,
in order really to understand understand where we are at as far as the Black community is concerned. I mean, it goes all the way back, dating back to in slavery time when we did not have anything, and master had to provide things for us for those individuals. And then when we began to come up out of it, there was really no structure set up economically for us to thrive, right? There were some things that were promised but never delivered, right? And then from there, it's just been always this construct that has never allowed us to evolve and really to take full, what's the word I want to use? control of that. There are things out there now, but again, it was just a lack of teaching and understanding, and able to break through that, and of course some other structures that were political as well.
Okay. Melissa, go ahead and give us, what do you think is a possibly, or maybe one of the biggest financial struggles? What else?
So I guess, well, one, I can only speak for the Latin community because I'm Mexican.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, so I
Mexicans,
can't speak about the Black community because I'm not Black, but I will say, for me, growing up, it was always just work, 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 work. You can always just make it happen by working, and there was never a save money for a rainy day type thing.
Mhm.
So I want to say the struggle is, it's like there's never a break and there's never a fallback. We're
Yeah.
going to make it happen, period.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not there was never a cushion or anything for a rainy day, if that makes sense. So that kind of, that's why I guess we have that stigma of, oh, Mexicans are hard workers and, they're the ones that are going to get it done. Yeah, we do, but that's because we don't have a way to be able to save or, something to fall back on if something doesn't go wrong or right. So that's my perspective on it. As far, I couldn't speak on the Black community though. I mean, I see stuff, but I don't know.
No, and I would like to add on this. Thanks for bringing that Latin perspective into this, because even at Black State University, we talk about Black community, but it's all from a minority and a marginalized perspective as well. So there's a lot of commonalities in how we all came up, and please consistently speak from that perspective as well throughout this. So thanks for that, because I know we can relate.
Yeah, please. Thank you so much for at least providing that though too. Yeah. You definitely will probably get called upon just a little bit more, FYI.
Z's been rich all her life. She knows nothing about what we go through.
Yeah, she knows nothing about the struggles.
She just smiled like, you right.
It's not true. But I mean, I will say, I think, so in high school, growing up, I did a lot of financial literacy stuff through Junior Achievement, Center for Leadership Development. Like, my parents were very intentional about putting me in these various like youth programs and just leadership development stuff. But what I learned as I got older and watching how my parents spent is that still they didn't really have the best financial habits. And I think what that comes from is you just are kind of trying to keep up and manage what you have. And maybe even just kind of stay above float. And my parents, middle class, two working people, wanted to provide for us so that we didn't have to ask for anything. We didn't have to want. So it appeared that we had a good life. But I think from a savings perspective, from like home buying and some other things, that there was probably some things that they could have done better or differently that maybe they just didn't know, because they were also kind of, my dad was first generation college student and first one to have a decent job and kind of figuring it out. So I know things, but also I don't think anything that we go through today or the next couple of months is rocket science. I think it's just reminders for all of us to do certain things.
Yeah.
And even if you already know it, maybe you don't do it, or maybe there's a different way, or maybe there's a different way to look at it, or it's just like being intentional about it. Yes. And so, yeah, I know these things, but do I really have a great budget? Do I look at it every month? Not really, right? And so, so this is not just for people who didn't know anything. This is for people who, yeah, I know all of this stuff, but I just don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Z, you really hit on something there for me, because and just to kind of go back a little bit, when Val and I met, we met at the pool. He was barbecuing and he was ear hustling, thinking I didn't pay attention. And we were with our kids, my ex-husband and I, and we were teaching them the Dave Ramsey savings
Awesome.
thing. And so, however, I say all of that to say we were wanting to do the right thing, but we didn't hold each other accountable. Our kids actually held us accountable and asked us questions. And if you know my kids, you know that they are very intentional about that. And so they are kind of, it kind of, when you said being intentional about it, Z, I want to say that for me, that's like where I'm at right now. It's like I don't have, I can hold myself accountable, and obviously that's the best way to do it, but it's better when you have somebody else to hold you accountable, especially your partner, your husband, whoever it is that you're with, and you guys do finances together. I didn't necessarily have that in my first marriage, so that was kind of a little bit difficult, and it's hard when you're trying to raise your kids and you have your kids actually calling you out, talking about, I thought we were doing this, and you just want to be like, shut, just be quiet, like get out of here, don't say nothing, that's not your business. But we're trying to teach them, you know what I mean? So the accountability portion of it, that's kind of like something that I would like to, besides having a CPA or something like that, to say, hey, this is where your money's going, or hey, you spent this. I having that accountability with somebody else to be able to say like, okay, we do have this, and have the understanding of it, I guess. Because I do know what to do, and I'm good at helping other people because I hold them accountable. But when it comes to myself and being able to spend and do what I want, then that's where I have the hardest time, I guess.
Yeah. And I want to kind of touch on that a little bit though too, because when you talk about, your kids were holding you accountable, depending on the age, it's almost just like how early or how late do you start telling them like, hey, we're starting to work on finances and doing this. Do you think maybe the earliest time or earliest age you should start introducing that to them? Was probably like, it's right on the cusp of, listen, you too old for all this. You need to know this.
When I was growing up, I was probably like in 6th grade when I started doing check registers and all that stuff. But I literally watched my mom do all the finances. What I didn't know till literally just a couple of days ago was that my dad didn't know about saving money. And which is weird to me because I always felt like I knew my dad was working, but my mom did all the bills and everything. And so we were literally talking about my son. I have a 23-year-old. So he was saying he was having an issue financially. And I said, you guys have to remember, you have to check in with each other and talk about your finances daily until you guys get into the flow of being able to do that. Because just because Faith does the bills and then she says, okay, there's $500 left. When you go look at the bank account, you can't be like, oh, she said 500, but I see 12. And then you go spend and you ain't waiting for something to clear. So I say all of that to say my son and my daughter, both, I taught them young. I want to say Caesar and Sarai was still in fifth grade, and Caesar was in 7th grade. And that's when I started teaching. That's when we actually started teaching them and holding them accountable financially. And as they got older, I didn't feel like we should hide anything from them. But that's why they were that's the age that they were when they were holding us accountable, because they're trying to figure it out and learn. And then they had to, and then fast forward a few years later, we're separated and now it's really tight. So now I'm telling them, hey, I paid this. This is what I have left. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're not going to do. Here's where we're at. And so it's an ongoing thing because both of my kids are adults now. My daughter's an entrepreneur. My son's, out working, and they're both, my daughter's more financially savvy. Okay. And she is good about savings because she literally does what we taught her way back when, years ago. And so she does it on her own. So
that's good.
I mean, it just depends.
Yeah. But that was a good, I think that's a good time frame between 5th and 6th grade. I think that's a really, really good one as well. Just to kind of discuss that with regarding finances though too. So yeah, good. Appreciate the feedback. All right. So now here are some of our financial struggles that we've been able to see for our community. So student loans, everybody knows that education is key, but paying those loans back seems to always we have just accumulate that higher risk. We're just trying to get those paid back as well. So between Sally Mae and Navient just went through something where they were had to go through a huge ordeal law-wise in regards to how they're doing loans and everything. So then we also are dealing with other miscellaneous loans, like when you got your pay loans and all that. One thing I think that we have learned are ways on how to borrow money and manage debt, but not debt freedom. And that's one thing. That's one thing. Of course, that's one of the things that we really do need to break. So, wages, of course, is always an issue. Men and women of color have had huge gaps compared to any other. So that's always been a thing, unfortunately. One thing that we have not learned is also generational wealth and just how to make our money work for us and our lineage. And so some of the steps that we're getting ready to go start with or speak with on today, we're going to start tackling those. All right. Here are some of the spending habits of some of our consumers. So with Credit Counseling Society, they gave us this nice chart just showing us a little bit in regards to how the cost of living goes by category. So a majority of that is housing. The next section is transportation and food. Depending on how you balance everything out, you're looking between debt payment and your personal things. The savings are going to be between 5 and 10%. Then utilities, clothing, medical. Those are the majority of our spending habits that we've seen here. So when we're talking about also, I guess, about with the financial literacy, kind of going back to how the last slide was, though, too, when you're talking about generational wealth, you're talking about like the Rockefellers, you're talking about those Hiltons, the Waltons, trying to do what we can to build up our group economics. All right. And I just really want to stress that this may be the time that you may be the individual that starts that within your family. You can be the next Rockefeller. You can be your next whomever. Take your name as being the catalyst of your own individual family's wealth. All right. Big power play. Ron Busby, who is the president of the U.S. Black Chambers, he said, in order for there to be a great America, there must also be a great Black America. And I'm not sure if you know about history, but we have had a very strong history of building successful millionaires and billionaires. All right. So you can talk about Black Wall Street. If you have that information, that's from the 1920s down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You have individuals like Valerie Daniels Carter. They call her the Burger Queen. You can look her up. You know about Rihanna. You just also got she just got the award from Barbados, and so she's I forgot what the name of it is though too. So, but she has this she's got highly recognized from Barbados. And then Don Peoples, who is a real estate mogul. Okay, so we have the opportunity to do amazing things with our money, and the companies that we deal with every day, that we shop on, whether it be from Amazon to whoever, they always want our input. Now, in 2019, Black consumers spent $835 billion. And if you want to have just to think about how much $835 billion is, that's like the net worth of the whole NBA, the NHL, the NFL, and that in itself takes away from about just under $300 billion from being Tesla. So our money is strong. Our money is powerful. And actually, Forbes said that the collective purchasing power of Black Americans is actually greater than most developed nations like Spain, Mexico, the Netherlands, Switzerland, or Turkey. So for us, we do have power to make our money work for us. All right. We just need to make sure that we're more intentional about doing it. So you definitely do have the power to do so. So a few things that you can consider. Remember, your salary is not really what makes you rich. You want to make sure you're mindful not to spend more than what you make. That's point blank. You want to support businesses, Black businesses. You want to make sure that you do that as well. Saving your money is going to be very key. Learning how to invest as well. And then also working towards getting out your current tax bracket. All right. So next one, we're going to talk about budgeting. All right. And then we'll open up the floor to this one here. Does anyone have a budget? Do you have a budget currently right now? Whether it is in the initial stage, middle stage, or you actually do have one that you're working. Floor is open.
You can't see us, but everybody gave the thumbs up that we have.
Thumbs up. Okay, yeah.
Budget.
Good. Now, how's everybody working their budget though? Is everybody working hopefully?
Okay, I'm gonna say, let me just jump in real quick because I'm kind of in between back and forth and in my rooms. I'm working also, so I'm gonna say this. I have a budget. My fiance and I are kind of working it out, and but we also have the wedding that we're planning, so that has kind of not thrown a kink in things. It's just made it more challenging, which is super awesome for me because I love to just keep leveling up, you know. But then I'm like, okay, we're putting all this money and we're paying cash for everything, so nothing's financed for the wedding. So that's like, that was huge for us. However, to say it's not stressful and to try to, you know, you're starting something new and then you're doing the budgeting, and then it's like, okay, for me, you know, we're simple but not simple, if that makes sense. It's like you want to be, and so it has its challenges. So I have a budget, we have a budget, and do we stay on it? Not necessarily, but we keep making it up. And so I'm learning that the accountability and then being able to voice and learning from my past experiences to be able to say something about it without the negative repercussions, I guess. I don't know if anybody's had that happen or not in their relationships or not, but I've had it kind of both ways. One, that I've wanted them to have everything. So I just kind of, anytime I would say something, I didn't want to be a nag. So then after a while, I just stopped. And then when we ended up having to file bankruptcy, I was like, well, shit, this isn't only my fault. But you know, then you start pointing fingers and it just becomes an issue. Then the second, I'm putting all my business out there. But anyway, my second marriage, it was, yeah, we're going to do this. And then when it came time to actually hold each other accountable, he would get super mad. And I'm just like, I'm not trying to be a nag again, because, you know, but here I am, like, just stay on track. And then it became, well, I do. And so then I'm like, I'm not dealing with the negativity. Let's just not talk about it then. And I start putting money aside on my own to make sure I was good, because I'm not trusting. This time around, completely different. The conversation is open. I'm able to communicate, and it's encouraged to be able to say, hey, let's do this, or maybe we should do this. And I make more suggestions than I do demands. And I learned that the hard way, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think another thing when it comes to budgeting and even getting the grasp of your finances, and I like the word leveling up over time. You have to understand this, that this is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's correct.
Of it. A lot of people want the let me hurry up and get this money quick and get rich quick and all that. No, it is definitely something I learned. Building your budget, getting your finances under control, building your credit, all that is a marathon. You have to have the end result in mind, but no, there's going to be fluctuations that happen over time. And if you're in a relationship where there is accountability and each other holding each other up, not supporting each other. So the word accountability more so like, hey, do I have your support over the long run as we begin to build this economic future for ourselves that we desire and lifestyle we want to live, right? Well, we know this is going to be a process and a marathon. There may be, again, emergency things that come up, whatever the case is, they may dip into that. You both have already come in with that understanding that, hey, we're in this for the long haul. And so your budget should be I tell people it's not something that's set in stone. It's something that's living. It's always evolving.
Good point.
As long as you have that in mind and play, and you have somebody that has that same mindset, that is where you get the most benefit out of your finances.
Yeah, that's a good point. Your budget is a living and breathing entity, so it is always going to change. Now, go ahead, Val
High class. I'm Ken.
or Ken.
So it's very interesting as it pertains to couples marriages, because people can enter into a relationship with different financial philosophy as well. So it's
Right.
important that you be on the same page, at least in understanding the other person's philosophy and approach
Right.
towards finance. So I know for here, Mel is the line by line, very detail oriented. I'm more of the strategist, bigger
Mhm.
picture, longer term. And so she knows that my ADD will kick in if she wants to look at Excel sheets over and over again. And I might start crying because of it. But when she has these questions about long term and decision making and et cetera, now let's sit and give me all this data and information so we can discuss that. So that's how I contribute. We'll contribute in
Yeah.
different ways.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to say as far as budget is concerned, a lot of people think budgeting is going to build the legacy and the long term wealth. But even if you look at trying to budget in order to have a comfortable life in your later years, in later years, as it pertains to this wealth thing, right?
Mhm.
And legacy is still short term, right? So a lot of decisions that you make as far as wealth building for future generations, you
Mhm.
actually might not see any of the benefits of it. And so healthy budgeting now, setting aside funds to enjoy the money now, vacation
Yeah.
fund, emergency fund, those different things, and having that living, breathing, like, hey, we're setting this up, and then we also have to experience some of it. I think some people just have in their mind, we have to experience this and wealth. I have to see all of the things. And then
Yeah.
that's where we don't necessarily have that long lasting effect.
Yes.
Some people are only focused on the long lasting effect and they don't enjoy life now. So it's just about understanding what your philosophy is. And when you look at big picture, when you look at small picture, factoring in your partner's variables, understanding what each of your superpowers is as it pertains to that. I think identifying what your superpower is and then
Right.
moving forward and understand the difference between budgeting for now and building wealth long term.
Yes.
And seeing.
Yep. And seeing. I was just definitely going to say you have to know your role. Know your role in your position. If it's yourself or just with a partner, know your role. Stick with your role. All right. Very good. So what we advise is, and this is what most financial educators will advise you as well, is you should definitely get a financial needs analysis. So a financial needs analysis is just a money GPS. This is what tells you where your money is going from A to B. Okay. There are many companies who are able to provide one for you. Unfortunately, sometimes they are at a higher expense. So you may go to a bank and they may say we'll give you a financial needs analysis for $1,000, $1,500. I myself am able to provide you with a financial needs analysis for free if you desire to. Just let me know and we'll go through it. Okay. We definitely know that you definitely need to save at least 3 months worth of bills, and you have to basically analyze where you can set your money aside. Okay. You also want to do debt stacking. That's going to help you to pay off your bills from the smallest to the largest. And we're going to have we'll have an example of that later on. And just as Sir Valmore Gold said, you want to diversify your investment portfolio. So we'll be talking about that in more future sections. And but we definitely are. I think this is my thought process when we're talking about budgeting. Okay. If you have a dream board, you definitely should have a budget. So, you have a dream board for your life, you got to have a dream board for your money. So, having a budget, getting the financial needs analysis, all that, to me, that's what's going to be helpful for you to get started on your path. Okay.
Yeah.
Always go ahead. I heard somebody.
Yeah. So, really quick, the getting a financial needs analysis, the other three should hinge off of that, right? Because if you don't
Correct.
analyze, and that's what I just want to say, if you haven't analyzed, you're getting a money GPS, where your money is, and evaluating all these different factors that go along with the financial needs analysis. Because it could be that you make enough money, but you have bad spending habits. It could be that you need to create other revenue sources, right, to get you to where you need. But all the analysis is the initial part of that. That I did want to say, and then you roll into how much can I save? All right, how much? What do I have after that to be able to debt stack? Where do I get this money from? Where can I find these aspects of hidden money? I call it, even though it's not really hidden. It might be like you're not going to have Netflix and all these other things for the few months because you need to take care of these other things. One of the things I want to say before we move on to this, the issue, one of the biggest issues we have when it comes to budgeting and all that is delayed gratification, right? We want all these things right now. And Dave Ramsey did have a statement. This is one statement I did take from him. He says, you should live like nobody else right now so you can live like nobody else, right? So if I take the moment in time, so if I take 2 years to pay off these debts and set myself on a good financial track, well, these next 10 to 20 years could be amazing, right?
Exactly.
But I have to analyze first and get myself on the right track to be able to do it. And you all who have made the first choice to take this Black State University financial literacy course is literally saying, hey, I'm ready for that move. All right.
Yeah.
So that's my spiel right there. Go on.
I have a question. And maybe you mentioned this or not, but for a financial needs analysis, I don't think I've ever done that before or had that done. How do I do that? Or did you already say we were going to do that?
No. What we can do is I can set up a time frame with you. I have your email, so we can just set up a time to be able to do that, and then work everything out for you. So that'd be perfect. We can do that. We can do that after. When we get off of here, we can set something up.
Yeah. So Mel, we'll just to piggyback on what we'll do is we'll offer to you all who are part of this class is with the financial needs analysis. Me, Zanae, who's a CPA. And Clarence will set up individual one-on-ones and say, hey, if you want, some people might, I don't want to do that. I want people look at, well, that's where we want to get you out of that mindset. This you should be happy and excited and fun, be exposed it. Because again, things that are hidden and not exposed, you're not going to deal with, right?
Yes, right, exactly.
So the thing that you should feel comfortable in is, number one, this is a space where you can be completely transparent because we want to get a grasp of where you are and help you set on a path of just amazing living, right, and an abundant living.
Right.
You don't, and it's what's the word I'm looking for, Zanae? Everything's confidential. Whew, I couldn't think of that word. So confidentiality is key. We can draw up a confidentiality clause to make people feel more comfortable if that needs to be. But your information will be confidential, just between you, us, and our team.
Right. Correct.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I think you guys talked about though too. I mean, when we're going through the analysis, it'll tell you, it definitely will help you to allocate every additional fund. So if you're over budget, you're under budget, whatever direction that it is, that's what the financial needs analysis will be. I didn't really dive into it, but there's a core of things that are going to be a part of that financial needs analysis that'll speak upon these topics here, and just a few other things as well, just to help you to figure out everything around your life budget and everything though too. There actually is it's a budget that's kind of installed in there as well. So so you can utilize that to help you, or it's definitely up to you if you would rather use your own budget or a budget app. Of course, it's perfectly fine with you as well, though, too. You always just want to make sure that you're doing it the way that fits you most comfortably.
And we have budget apps and some other stuff and materials that will be sent to you all as well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we have a few things, and we're going to talk about methods on how you can divide your money. But mostly your money, of course, should first be going to your bills and utilities. Then it should be going toward figuring out a way how you can set up your own emergency fund. Of course, the emergency fund is just if you lose a job or you get sick, something that's going to help you to keep you covered. So they normally say between about 3 to 6 months is what you want to have in your emergency fund. So, building on that, we'll talk about that as well. For savings, 5 to 10% really a month should be done as possible. Now, I know when I first started out saving, there was no 5%, 1%, maybe 1.5, maybe. But so it just is what you're able to build up upon, over time. And that's something that, once again, everybody is totally different about. So you just have to figure it out on your own as well as you go through your budget. One thing that Dave Ramsey and a lot of those other educators as well, they talk about term insurance. So term life insurance is very cheap, but it helps to cover your expenses for your families. And, and it also does help you to, it covers your expense for your families, helps to cover off whatever debts and bills may happen, just in case if someone in your household, unfortunately passes away. It's a way for you to be able to still continue on with life and not have to worry about those financial woes that kind of come about losing, what we consider snuggle bunnies, so. Now, here's a few methods that we're going to talk about on how you can divide your money. So 2 of the methods that we have, we'll talk about. This is the first one. This is the 50-20-30 rule. So this is where 50% of your essentials is being paid out. So this is your home, groceries, transportation, all utilities, all that. Okay. 20% then goes to your savings. So that's savings, it's anything contributing to your student loans, all that good stuff. And then 30% for your wants. So that is how much you want to eat out, your entertainment, that is clothing, that is Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Paramount. I don't know who does Paramount, I think, but and then gym, if you want to set up a vacation, that's all in regards to that 30% for the wants, right? So that's just one way. Another option is called the 70-20-10 rule, where 70% goes to your essentials. And then you have the 20 for your savings and investments, and then 10% goes to all of your debts, right? Now, the big thing for all of us is controlling our impulse purchases. I have many people who are techies, who they try to get everything tech as soon as before it comes out the market. Some people like Jordans, they like them J's. You may like purses. There's a way that you can set up yourself to be able to receive all of the purchases that you want, but in a manner that's going to help you with your finances and is not going to destroy your budget. One of the ways is the 30-day rule. This is basically where you take 30 days just to evaluate if this non-essential purchase can be left, you can live with it or live without it. First, take the first 10 days, really just not even to worry about it. 11 through 20, go ahead and do some research. Figure out if there's a way that you can actually purchase this and still be able to take care of the business. And then on those last 10 days, go ahead and assess it. If you think that you can take care of it and you weigh the pros and cons of it all, you think you can go with it, great. If you say no, then just make sure you just tack it on to the side, try to build up for it later. All right. So now, we already talked about budgeting. We start talking about savings as well. Let's go ahead and start talking about savings. All right. This is what Cypress Hill once said. It's time for some action. This is how you can really be intentional when you're trying to save your money. All right. If you have your notes, continue to make sure you write these notes down. Does everyone or does anyone have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved? Does anybody? Raise your hands or you just say yes, because I can't see you. You got hands up? Who's got hands up? Everybody? Nobody?
Yep, everybody got up. Valerie
Good.
said, not Valerie, Melissa.
Not me, Mel.
Mel.
Not me,
Melissa.
sorry.
Is it Melissa or Mel? What would you prefer?
Melissa, Mel, fine, Melissa Marie, whatever, it don't matter. Just don't call me out my name.
Yeah, there we go. We got nicknames for everybody. So we got Melly Mel over here. Okay, cool. All right. So
Mel, question. Let me ask you. So if we asked today, what would you suggest the number of months that you would be able to still be able to take care of your household if things went awry? Out of curiosity, if you're okay with sharing.
Oh, I don't care. I'm gonna make it happen regardless. So that, I mean, because that's just how I am. So no
yes,
matter what, I'm gonna find a way to make money. Multiple streams of
yes,
income. Because of the wedding, I literally have been dumping everything in there. Or
Okay.
yes,
you know what I mean? But I know no matter what, like I've been where I've had $20 to paycheck. As an
yes.
entrepreneur now, I'm putting money into advertising, marketing, all of that stuff. So I'm putting money out there to make money, and I'm making money. So it's like it's constantly coming in, if that makes sense. It's
No,
just I'm not saving it the way I should, because I'm like, oh, okay, if I put it here, I'm gonna make more. So that's kind of where I'm at. Um, I'll still be able to survive, no doubt, for sure. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, again, that's my background. Like my dad, that's just what we did. He worked for the man, and then he also was an entrepreneur. So he'd come home from being a program chairman of a welding department for an institution, and then he was a welder at night till like midnight, get up in the morning and do it all over again. So that
wow.
extra money, I mean, it was
Mhm.
always there. Some stuff paid
Yes.
for the utilities and all that stuff, and then everything else was for what we needed extra, if that makes sense.
No,
So we always had
course.
money. We
Yeah.
weren't over the top or anything, but we just made it happen, and that's all I've ever known, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it has to be something that I think it's a little bit different for everybody. Okay. So you have to have a good idea of what's a good savings amount for yourself though too as well. So I think that very much is key though too. So but because just like you said, Mel, yours is a little bit different than from everybody else's. Totally agree. Totally agree.
And when we say 3 to 6 months of living expenses, we're talking about managing your essentials,
Yes.
your mortgage, being able to pay utilities.
Mhm.
If you just happen to have any car notes and life insurance and all those little things outside of the non-essentials. So
Right.
that's what you want to make sure. Say, hey, if I couldn't go out and buy clothes along this month
Mhm.
because of that, well, I have 6 months saved up. And that's one of the rules actually that I have for my children to leave my house. Like you have to have a year's worth of living expenses saved up. That is not a rule that I was ever taught. Is a rule that I said this is something that's going to be a staple for our household. My daughter, she's 19. She was itching to move. No, you don't have a year's worth of living expenses saved up because guess who she's going to come to?
Hey,
Yeah.
Daddy.
Hey, Dad, my rents need to be paid. No,
Exactly.
you need
Yeah.
to be back home for a little bit.
Yeah. That's good. That's
All
good.
right.
That's a
So
great. That's a great one though too. That's a great one. All right. I'm writing. Hey, listen. As you're writing notes, I'm writing notes though too, because this is very much. This is some good stuff that we have that we want to make sure we continue to share out. So now, historically, Black people spend a disproportionate amount on living expenses and just not enough on savings. So when you're speaking about the top 5 for low income families as opposed to the top 5 for high income, housing, of course, is going to be major. All right. Transportation is going to be there as well. But low income families actually spend more on food than they do on transportation. The opposite is for high income families, where you spend more on transportation than you do on food. So healthcare and entertainment are some of the last ones that come in for low income families, whereas on high income families you have the insurance and healthcare as well. So and now this is as of 2019 to like 2020 2021, I think. So life now, with it being very COVID centric, it's very it still kind of fluctuates. All right. So but money is still being made by different various professions as well. So if where you are, depending on whatever your income is, you can still continue to grow into getting on to another bracket once again, and to establish better expenses, or it's better paying off of your living expenses. There we go. All right. So that's of course all those things are available still to us just moving into that is what is going to be vital for us to be able to make sure we have not just better benefits, but also just, once again, our better longevity. Now, here are a few things that what we want to express to you in regards to accounts that you should have to complete your savings program. All right. So you want to basically have 3 different pots. You want to have your emergency fund. All right. So this is where you have that 3 to 6 month set aside to take care of all your expenses. Then you want to have a short-term savings. This is where you're going to have, whatever future things you want to have for yourself, a vacation, if you want to set up for a car, if a water heater goes out, or, you need some more tires, those are the things as well. So my short-term savings right now, and this is what most people do, is when they talk about the vacation, like for me, my wife is trying to really do it real big when we go to Barbados. So my money's got to be real set, real nice for that short-term savings. So that way, when we get to Barbados, we just want to ball. Okay. So, and then the last one you want to do is you definitely want to have your long-term savings and investments. So this is your retirement fund, your 401ks, mutual funds are probably one of the better options for you, depending on which companies that you go with. They can really provide some great rate of returns for you. And so really, really good vehicles for you to help you in that long-term, and also building for the generational wealth. All right. That's where the generational wealth begins, is when you're doing your long-term savings and investments. So that's beyond 5 and 10 years. That's what that long-term status calls. So short-term savings is more like 5 or less. Long-term is 5 or more. Excuse me. All right. Here's some ways that you can consider starting. All right. How do you start saving? Step 1. Start showing your commitment to making at least $1,000 as your starter emergency fund. Okay. So sometimes a lot of people think that they can't find $1,000 somewhere, but you really can. So start figuring out ways where you can maybe cut back on some things, or maybe increase yourself in another, position or something like that. Definitely paying off all your debt except for your house with debt stacking. And we're going to be discussing debt stacking in a few more moments here. All right. Once again, putting in that 3 to 6 months for your emergency fund. Once again, needs to be in a separate account. And now only you know how much money you'll need if your income ceases. So, of course, that is something that everyone has to deal with separately. All right. And then get to the point where you can invest at least 15% of your household income to retirement. All right. So, of course, that has to be discussed, because if you're trying to pay down some extra debt, 50% is not going to be the case. So just as where we are right now in our household, that 15% is not the case, because we're working on building. We're actually working on taking care of everything else here, though, too. All of my debts have been taken care of except my student loans. But I was able to do that over 2 years just with doing the financial needs analysis. So it really all depends on each household. So discussing all that, how much is going to be needed, that's what's going to be key. All right. Some good inspiration for you. If you save for yourself, you save for your family's future, and if you're gracious enough to bless others, you can do this all at the same time. This is what's going to build a great financial structure for you. Amazing structure.
And one thing I do want to share is we'll end up talking about this when we get into the housing portion of our cohort. But there are ways, once you've started the debt stacking and then you eliminated the majority of your debts, we'll talk about how to roll, because you're used to that, right? You've already been used to that amount of money being allocated to pay for debts. We'll show you how to then redirect those resources into your mortgage, where if you had a 30-year mortgage, you can end up paying that mortgage off. Instead of 30 years, you can pay that mortgage off in 20 years now, because you can pour that money and pull that money into paying off your mortgage.
I like that. Because
Yeah.
I'm doing the stacking, but I never thought about throwing that joint to the mortgage. Hey, Mel!
Yeah. There you go. There you go. And I know we definitely going to talk about that when we start talking about debt stacking and debt snowball. We'll be coming up on that in a few minutes though. But that's a good segue though too for that though too. So I appreciate that, Noodles. Appreciate that for sure. So we'll also now let's go ahead and jump into these credit cards. Who has credit cards? I have two. Okay. Who's got credit cards? Everybody got credit cards?
Yeah, I have credit cards.
Okay. All right. So tell me this. Are credit cards good or bad? Let's talk about it.
All right.
I would say it depends on what kind of credit card you have. I think if it's a secured card, then yes, it's good because it helps you to build credit if you have bad credit. And then if you keep it between 20 to 30% any credit card balance that you have, then that's building your credit and you're paying it as you go and don't have any negative marks. That's my opinion.
Oh,
No,
yeah. You're right, Billy Bell.
Yeah. So credit when it comes to credit card, having credit cards, I tell people it's a strategy. My credit cards are designed to be strategic in helping build number one, my financial profile and build credit scores, and then also being able to leverage those in my credit utilization. Help build my children's credit scores. So just really briefly, my daughter graduated. Was it last year before last? But when she graduated, one of the things I did was I made her an authorized user on one of my credit cards. She graduated on the day of her graduation. She had a 760 credit score. All right,
nice.
Because it's several things. It's credit utilization and it's credit history, right? So the history, that 10-year history was attached to her immediately, right? And then also me being a good steward of my of credit card usage and keeping it under that 30% also attached to her. So now if she was working for a couple years and made what $25,000-$30,000, then she was already in position to go qualify for a loan to purchase a real estate property. So these are the things that I've taught her over and over again, and we'll go into strategies again down the line on teaching best practices for people who want to purchase and then build your credit and build your financial profile from there and even become an entrepreneur in that sense of owning real estate. I think everyone should own real estate. Not just saying that because I'm a real estate broker, but here's the thing, scarcity, right? They're not making any more. Land is one of those commodities that will not be any more made. We got what we got and that's it. And if California keeps having earthquakes, then we're going to have less, right? Because people think it's going to sink to the ocean. But no, so credit, but Mel, you're absolutely right on two things. But I do want to say this: secure credit cards are good for building credit if you do not have the best credit cards. After a while, you'll start qualifying for unsecured credit cards. The beautiful thing about unsecured credit cards are every 6 months to a year, they will just gradually increase your credit limits if you have good practices. So you'll go from 1,500, especially with Capital One, which are really good about this. You'll go from having a $1,500, $500 credit limit to a $1,500. You manage that 1,500 with good usage. In 6 months, they'll jump you to like $4,000 or $5,000. Again, it's what is your intentions and what is your goal from having the credit card. Most people just happy they got a credit. Oh, I got a credit card. I got a credit card. Yeah, but what strategies are you going to deploy to be able to allow that to build your credit and establish yourself economically?
Right. Because I think a lot of people think that when you get a credit card, it's just like, oh, it's easy money. But there's more to it behind that. So that's the thing. I definitely agree with you though too. We say using money for your savings, you should be using for emergencies, but do not use your credit card. So you're using the credit card for a better purpose. So once again, it's just not really so much free money. You really want to use your credit card really to build up your credit score. Okay. Just like Noodles just said, if you definitely can speak with one of those companies, you can get something to improve within 6 to 12 months. They'll go ahead and raise up your credits, your actual increase your credit limit, which is always a great thing. But when you're using your credit cards or if you're leasing something, it always is going to make you spend more. So yes, you're going to start off with $300, $400, and then you get that increase. It goes up to $1,000. It already is going to make you want to spend more already. So, you just want to be very, very careful not to become slave to the lender. Okay. So remember that no special tool, no philosophy or template is really going to get you out of debt. What you got to do is what we talk about, Noodles. You got to get pissed off, right?
Yeah, get pissed off.
You got to get pissed off. All right. When you're talking about killing off your debt, it's really about perseverance. It's about strategy. It's about having that zeal, and you got to be disciplined. Okay. That's how you get pissed off. All right. So a few other things real quick. Stop the borrowing. You can pay down your debts by using the debt stacking method, what I'll be showing you in a quick second here. Cutting up your credit cards, I think, is a good thing. I myself think that if you at least just maybe have one, maybe two to have for yourself, just as a means of, just having that for yourself, I think that'd be good because once again, it's there to help to build up your credit. So keeping something with a small balance on those credit cards and paying those off, that's really going to be helpful. But if you start having excessive ones, like, you got one from JCPenney, you got one from Venture, you got one from Carson Perry Scott, you should probably let those go. Okay.
I need y'all to realize that he just said Venture, and I'm going back on mute.
Yep. and here's the other thing I want to say with credit cards. You got to remember when people are looking, when you're trying to get loans and things of that nature, right? People are going to be looking, and we'll have a breakdown of this. I think it might be next week is when that slide jumps in, so I don't want to get too far ahead. But they're going to look at the various credit accounts you have. So having a couple credit cards, maybe having one stored credit card if you apply for them. And the thing about stored credit cards, they're real fickle. You don't know which credit FICO score they're going to look at, and model. Right. It's a bunch of different ones, and I think a lot of people think there's one universal one, which is something that they're actually trying to pass. We're trying to pass along just to make it one universal credit score to be able to pick out and credit scores. Or credit companies, these Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, these are data companies, right? They're collecting data that have algorithms based on the way you spend money and credit to determine what your credit profile should look like and what your credit scores are. So it's about the word manipulation is not a bad thing. It's about how do I manipulate and use credit to help build these, what are going to be reported to the companies to help build the scores that I desire to have to be able to move when it comes to borrow money and leveraging my borrowing power to be able to build wealth too. And we'll talk about that later as well. But I just want to mention that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one though too. Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say as well though too is that's a good one though too to add though as well. Your imprint is going to either make or break you. So being very mindful. That's why I'm cutting up the credit cards. If you just have one or two, that's gonna be able to help you just to have a better imprint for all of those TransUnion and all those companies. Good point, Noodles. I appreciate that.
And when we say one or two, we're talking about more one, two, three at the most if you have it. But we're talking about personal credit, not so much business credit.
No. Yeah. So personal. This is all personal. Correct. So not business wise. Yeah, Noodles will talk about that in what's that, course 4, the third 3 or 4. So yeah, but this is all personal credit cards. That's right. How to also get rid of debt. Make sure you keep on building up your savings. All right. If you can increase your income, sometimes just taking on a side job really can help. Some people really, you can sell a whole lot. There's a lot of things that probably in your house right now, you could probably sell for a nice amount, whether on eBay or you can do OfferUp. There's all kind of marketplace. I think Facebook Marketplace now is starting to get real big. So definitely do that. All right. Melissa actually were her dad, taking up the extra welding, that's taking on that side job as a welder, that was able to help out as well. So, definitely another example of how taking on a side job can help increase that income. All right. Then you definitely got to work your plan. So stay consistent, stay disciplined. And I don't know about you, but I believe in God and I believe in Jesus. So I pray. And I prayed a whole lot to get out of debt, and thank God I was able to do so. So we definitely want you to make sure that you do all that. And if you notice, we put ones on here because they're all the same. You got to do all these. These are all one. There is no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are all number ones. You have to do it all. All right. So let's talk about debt stacking, because Noodles was actually kind of spoke on this just a second ago. Here is how you can do debt stacking, or debt snowballing is what has been named by different people. What you're doing is you are combining all of your debt that you have, and you're looking at it all, seeing how much you pay every month, and you're using your total balance to make sure you pay off everything. Okay. So in this example, on the left-hand side here, you see you have a retail card, you got a credit card, you got a car loan, you got another credit card, and then you got your mortgage. So that totals $2,720. Okay. You always want to set up what's your target account. What's the account that you want to start with first? Normally it's the smallest one. So the retail card is the one we're going to target first. We're going to start paying that $220 off, right? Once you get that $220 off, what do you think most people would do once they pay off one of their bills? What do they do? You pay off a bill and you don't have that bill the next month. What do you normally do with that money? You're going to spend it.
If it don't got no plan, if you don't give it a job, you're going to spend it.
Exactly. So instead of you actually using that $220 to go buy one Apple Watch on a low, use that same $220 to put towards your second credit card. So you're increasing your credit card from that $353 to now $573 because you just added $220 to it. So now you're paying off $573 for the credit card, still paying your car loan and your credit card and your mortgage. It's still $2,720. So then what happens when you get done with the second credit card? Oh, I'm done with that. I'm going to use that same money, $573, to go with the car loan. Go pay the car loan off. Still $2,720. Once you add that amount from the car loan that you paid off, $1,124, to your credit card, the last one, you clear that one up, and you're still working on your mortgage. It's still the same amount, $2,720. So then what happens once you get done with your credit card, you finish that off, you can put that full amount towards your mortgage. You're still paying the $2,720. Now you finish up your mortgage. Instead of you having it cleared up in 30 years, you can have this 15, 20. That's what debt stacking really does. And it's an amazing tool to have, to make sure that you can target one of your accounts first and then lead off into clearing off the rest of your debt. So take a picture of this, screenshot this all you want. But we can we'll if you're not taking a screenshot of this right now, and if you need any of these slides, we can just send them out to you. So but if you want that right now, I would say go ahead and just get that. All right. So how are some ways that we can be money smart? All right. Here's some things that you can do. If you're this person, if you are future oriented, if you're calculated, even with your splurging, if you're patient and you're able to delay that gratification, you are considered a money smart person. Okay. So one of the things that Noodles has brought up though too, that I like that he said, was you have to give your money a job. Okay. I'm giving my money a job right now. We're working on Barbados. Okay. So my wife wants to make sure she gets everything. Baby got to make sure she gets all the food she wants, drink, whatever. That's what she's trying to do. Make sure you're putting your money everywhere that it needs to go, from your bills to whatever other expenses that you have, all of that. Okay. Put it all into a position. Make your money work for you, because you have to remember that your money is, you have money over, you have power over your money. Your money doesn't have power over you. You are the one that you can put this into perspective. So put that into perspective.
Exactly.
You can make that work for you. Okay. I think that when you change your mentality from knowing that the money that you have is actually, you can use that toward power, that then changes everything. That changes everything. You got to have that perspective. Go ahead. Who's out there?
I want to say this too. So in conjunction with saving to pay your bills and build wealth and all that, we want to let you know, like, we have fun too. Like, budgeting to have fun is extremely important as well, right? So one of the things I do, if I plan on a vacation and I say, hey, I'm about to save, because we're talking about budgeting, right? So I'm a budget for my vacation too. But if I save $5,000, right, for going on vacation, one of the things I've told my wife, I said, I'm not going on vacation and I save $5,000 and I'm like, that's what we're going to spend. It's not just for us to say, yeah, okay, just want to make sure we have enough. No, I'm making sure if I come home, I'm not coming home with that $5,000 still. You know, that's right. Spend that, right? I'm going to spend the entire 5 to 10, whatever I budget for. I'm not coming back with that money because I already have a grip and hold on everything else. I'm going to enjoy that, because I believe that I'm one of those guys who, if you're going to work hard, you got to play, and you're going to play hard too. Budget to play hard. Right? What you think about that, Z? Do you budget to play hard?
Budget to ball.
I really like that, budget to play hard. Because last summer, for 6 months, I just played hard with no budget. And so now I'm like trying to catch back up and fill my like savings. So just like that budgeting to play hard, I think is very important, because we forget that fun piece. And then when we are out, it kind of pulls in from the rest of the stuff that we've been saving for. Yeah. So that was a good point to bring out.
Definitely budget the ball hard. I think, especially as adults, that's one of the things we can lose grip on sometimes, when you discipline yourself to save money. I tell everybody, make sure you I have a fun account, right? I literally have an account that I dump money in to have a good time. So I pull from that. So if I have in my fun account, it has some money in it now, and I'm looking forward to doing some things. I need to plan a trip somewhere. But that's what we do. And it keeps me at a peace of mind. I know I'm not putting anything else. I'm not putting the family in jeopardy. I'm not putting bills in jeopardy. I'm not, because I've done that before. I've done that where we wanted to go on vacation. I was like, well, what can I delay or move around so that I can have this money for that? Now it's like, no, take a percentage of the money you make. And I also end up building, and I know you touched it, but having other streams of income to come in. I'm an entrepreneur as well, Mel, so I'm happy to hear that you're in that entrepreneurial space. Because one of the things I did learn was, it was a point in time that it wasn't that we weren't making ends meet. And one of the issues, I was like, well, after I did my whole evaluation, I said, I'm not bringing in enough money to live the lifestyle I want to live. Number one, what other things because I'm a hustler too, I'm gonna get out there and get it and make it happen, right? But I said, what things am I good at that I can monetize, that won't take away a whole bunch of time, but I can do in my spare time or whatever else, that I can start bringing in, generate money. And again, I knew this wasn't going to make me rich overnight, but it's a marathon. I had the whole marathon aspect. So over time, I was like, okay, I'm really good at this. I can do this. I have time to do this. Oh, I'm good at this. I have time to do this. And then what I did was started to monetize those things, right? Monetize those relationships, monetize those gifts that I have. I think everybody has a gift. You're really, really, really talented and good at something. The only thing you haven't discovered yet how to monetize that, right? I'm going to use you real quick if you don't mind. Z, look, listen, I'm going to. Z has worked out. She works out.
That's right.
She wears a lot of different hats. She's a former athlete, still an athlete. She'll arm wrestle somebody in public. I've actually seen it with my own eyes, so I know how competitive she is. She can't even take that. And I got receipts. I got the video to prove it. Right?
I got videos too.
But the thing that I did know is about her. And by the way, here's a little plug. Please get her book. What's the name of your book? What's the name of your book? Finish Strong. So order that book. It has great nuggets in it. But there it go right there. So she writes. Of course, we can say she's an author. It has a great blog you can be a part of too. But she took that, the struggle she went through, the challenges she went through, the success she's experienced, put it in a book, and now what does she do? She's monetizing that, right? Yeah. Which is another stream of income. So you need to learn. Part of our struggles when it comes economically is it's not that, oh man, it's just life is so hard. It is. It can be challenging, but we have not learned how to monetize certain aspects of our life to allow us to live a better lifestyle, right? So that's something that you want to do, to monetize the things you're good at to help bring in extra revenue, right? Have collaborative partnerships with friends where you both can get together that you're really, really tight with. Say, hey, we're both pretty good at this, or we can do this. We have this great idea. All right, how do we build this and monetize this? And then we both start bringing in extra money. And now you have, because that's another thing we haven't got into as far as this is concerned, is group economics. That's another thing we haven't discovered that I see that we find in other cultures, right? And I say this, I've actually talked to people of the Asian culture, right? They have group economic system that they use. Caucasians, whites, they have a group economic systems that they use, and they use this to help build a lifestyle for their families. So, but what do we do to monetize those things? And at the end of the day, I'm gonna go circle back to my original point: is budget to play hard, budget to ball hard. If you're gonna work hard, play hard, budget to do it.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Back to you, Clarence.
All right. I was going to say, I thought you was being ready to go for another portion of the sermon. I was just like, hey, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. All right. So 3 good habits of money smart people. Of course, they plan and budget wisely. Live within their means. You got to live within your means. But then you always find some type of additional income sources. The group one that you're saying as well, those 2 noodles. Say that one again. You said it's called group
economics. It's a group economics. And we'll talk about that at a later time, how to vet those people around you to make sure you got the right people who have the right understanding, the right mindset, a collective mindset to band together to come out of debt. So I'll say this one more point when it comes to that. I don't know how other cultures are with this, and maybe Mel can speak to this, but one of the things that we find out, especially when we're talking about low income households within the African American community, especially in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and probably definitely still today, that we found that, grandma owned her house, right? Happened to own her house. And then when people fell on hard times, that's where a lot of people, defaulted to staying with grandma, staying at grandma's house. Well, you got 4 or 5 people in the household, and these people were working. Everybody wasn't, not working or anything, but nobody being together as a household and said, hey, let's come together, especially within families. It should definitely be done, and develop some group economics within our own families, or maybe friendships, to be able to say, hey, you make this amount of money, I make this amount of money. Let's have these co-living experiences. Let's have this group economic experiences, and be able to pull our resources together to make sure collectively we all are in a good space, right? And a lot of that has to do with not being prideful, not being selfish, and things of that nature. So they say, hey, yeah, I make $110,000 a year. You make $35,000 a year. Well, my goal is to come together with you, and we both go to the top. It's this guy on YouTube and online. He goes around, he asks people who drive really, 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 really nice cars, what do they do for a living? And then after he asks them that, his second follow-up question most of the time is, what advice do you have for a person my age to get to where you are? One of the best responses to that that I've taken to heart and really applied this philosophy to my life and to my friendship circles. He says, find those you can trust, and find those that love you, and take them all the way to the top with you. Right? He said, find those you love, find those you can trust, and take them all the way to the top with you. That may mean that you are the economic source for that, but they have the sweat equity.
Yeah.
Right. So everything's not going to be monetary, but it will be a level of effort that everyone puts in to ensure that we all are good. And it's in those spaces that you find in those friendships that are the long-lasting best friendships, because anytime you can help somebody change their life position and they know you genuinely love them, you have those people as friends for a lifetime.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's true.
So
You know what's a good oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Before I go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say a good example of, it's weird that you said group economics, because I didn't think about it until just as you saying it. There is one of the young ladies that I talked about earlier was Valerie Daniels Carter. That is basically that's how she became the Burger Queen. So her and her family, and then they started building and saving and everything. And when she got presented with an opportunity to get a Burger King, this is like back in, oh sheesh, she's been doing it for a couple of decades now. With the family, what they all brought in was able to first help to establish and get that first Burger King. Then after a while, they were just like, hey, we see that you're doing well. Other banks and everything were like, hey, if you're looking for another opportunity to go ahead and get another Burger King, let us know. Because banks are always going to be open for that. Banks are going to be looking for opportunities, and other organizations are going to be looking for opportunities for minorities to build. So whatever your idea is, or what you ever, you want to monetize, if there is a way that you can do a brick and mortar or somehow provide that option for people, or, provide your whatever your creative thing is, and make that into a product to be able to provide for the masses. The more that you do that, more people are going to be coming to you. I think, what is that? The Bible says that your gifts will bring you before great men. So those things that, your gifts and all your talents, how you bring those people together, as you taking them to the top, more opportunities are going to be coming to you. So that, as soon as you start talking group economics, I was just like, why does that? The whole thing sounds familiar, and so I just piece it all together. All right, Melly Mel.
Okay, so two things. One, I used to work in the mortgage industry doing collections for mortgages way back when everything was super cool, and then it like crashed 2007, 8, around that time frame. And one of the things that I noticed was they did have a lot of group, like the more than just two people on the loan, and it was normally the Asian culture. So at that time, in my mind, I was like fresh out of the military, a couple years out of the military, not really thinking too much of it or whatever. Most recently, I bring that up because when you're talking about group economics. Rick Ross actually did this. I know you smile, but I watched him. He has a lot of motivational stuff out there. And I was watching one of the things, there was a couple of things that really, really stood out to me about that. During the pandemic, or during COVID, when everything was shut down, he reached out to John Deere and was like, hey, I have this land and stuff. The people that he brought up with him, he does everything hand in hand with them. He doesn't always, he may have somebody that's a driver, but he could also drive. He may have somebody that's, doing whatever, but he also does those same things, and they work together. He said, so if I'm coming up, you're coming up. And one of the other things that he did was, with bringing up John Deere, he reached out to them and said, hey, I need to get my lawn mowed, and I can't have people come do it, but bring it to me, let me do this. And so him and everybody that he came up with, they all got out there and they were mowing his estate out there in Atlanta. And I thought it was a whole bunch of things that he was talking about that just stood out to me. And the other thing that stood out to me was making sure that that you have things that are not a liability that are an asset. So like he said, at one point he owned yachts, but then after a while he realized those were liabilities. Eventually he turned it around and made that liability into an asset where he rented out those
leases those
and
yachts
he
out.
wasn't, and then made it into an asset. And I thought, okay, I'm in that, like, I'm thinking for myself, okay, Turo, same thing, you know. I have we have two motorcycles, and people come out to Vegas all the time, want to rent it. I guess what I'm about to do, my Harley's about to go out on Turo because I want that extra money, and you pay for my motorcycle, y'all get your stuff, and I'm still riding mine when I'm ready, you know. So like those, anyway, Rick Ross, group economics, same thing.
You out there in Vegas?
I am. I'm in Vegas.
No, you should have told me that. Now you should have told me that. Rick told me that. I think we got to go out there like in April, I think, or something. So my son has a karate tournament out there though. But I got buddies that's out there though too. So like, listen, all right, we got Melly Mel. You in the building?
Right.
We in the building. All right, we in the building.
So yeah, Rick Ross is one of my favorite people, especially when it comes to economics and stuff. I watch a lot of his stuff online. And the other person who I love that does this, I don't know why the world hates him so much. KB's not on here, so I'm gonna bring him up. It's LeBron James. He hates LeBron James basketball. LeBron James is one of the great examples of this. Like his friend Maverick Carter and some of his other friends that's within his circle. He paid for him to go to college to help control the destiny of his business, right? All the other little things that they do. He brought those that were with him along with him for the ride and made sure economically they had a certain level of freedom that he was experiencing. Now, granted, they're not making the 500 something, almost $1 billion he is, but hey, they're millionaires today, because of him. And that's the level of trust, and that's the level of camaraderie that you should have. Like, who are those people within your circles? Who are those people within your sphere of influence that you can trust? Again, there is, I want to be frank with this, there is a vetting process that you need to go through when it comes to this when it comes to these type of things. We tried to do with 8 people who we thought were definitely going to be on the same page. That dwindled down to 2. But here's the thing. So instead of doing it within those 3, again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So instead of doing it within that 2 to 3 year projected process, it took us 5, right? So we was like, hey, in 5 years, though, we'll be able to move like we want to move and do what we want to do. I can literally go on vacation when I want to now. I don't have to worry about anything. I can, anything that my daughters and stuff want, I can get, but I watch that because they will try to wrap me around their finger and do stuff that I shouldn't be doing. My wife would get mad at me, but I just sneak it to them. Don't tell her that. But again,
I hope she don't hear you too. Being in the house, I hope she don't hear you.
There's examples out there of how group economics work. And I did mention before, and I'm glad you brought that up. The agent community is huge. And I have friends that are agents that tell me this. They're like, look, we get together and we buy collectively. And at the end of the day, when we're done, everybody has these amazing profiles and has this ability to do it. Because here's the thing: in order for me to get $2, $3, $4 million loans, banks are looking at your profile, not necessarily what you have liquid, right? So if my profile states that I have a millionaire profile, I might have $10,000 in the bank, but I have the profile to go get $2, $3 million if I desire, to do projects. So that's the thing that you want to pay attention. We have a bank account that everybody periodically dumps money into, and then once they need it, we'll say, hey, what do you want to do? Well, I want to go buy this house, this rental property. Well, how much is it? Okay, here. What's the future projections? We'll go through the whole number game with it. And be like, and I'll replenish the account on XYZ date or when this is done. So we borrow from ourselves now. So what does that do? It saves interest up front. And it does a few other things, and then we also can pour and make sure that our families are okay at the same time. So a group economic system, if you don't have a means to generate money like in an extremely fast pace and all that, having a group economic system with like-minded people is another option. But we'll talk about that down the line on how to build that, how to vet those individuals, and then move through that process. All right, Clarence, it's back to you, buddy.
Yeah. And hey, Mel, thank you so much for your service. Had to say that though too before we move forward. we actually are at the close. Please remember that an investment in knowledge is going to pay the best interest. This whole collective that we've done, this presentation, this cohort that we're providing, this is meant to just tell you that you doing this is going to be such an investment that's going to catapult you, your family, and it's going to help you to deliver those benefits and those dividends down the line.
Mhm.
So the energy right now that you're pushing forward, the effort that you're establishing right now, this is what is going to build our families to financial freedoms. And this is what's going to build us through all our generations. So just know that this is an initial setting of a principle just to becoming more economically sound. Your budget is, and everything that you're doing, it's a breathing. All of this, just as much as we're breathing, so are the things that we have within our budget and savings and all that is breathing. So pursuing your financial freedom, it is, as we have already stated, this is a race, not given to the swift. This is a marathon. Race not given to the swift. We have to have this as a marathon and recognize that in regards to how you're establishing everything. So don't take that, knowing that your freedom is going to come as you move through this marathon. You're going to deal with all your financial freedoms right now to get the greater materials later. Okay.
Mhm.
So we truly thank you. And this is just a team effort. I know everyone may have something else to say, but we just are very thankful that you took the time out just to hopefully gain a few nuggets to help you in your journey. That's what we're here for. Regardless of anything else, we love music, we love life, but we do want to make sure we can do what we can to impact our community. So for us, if you have any questions or concerns, I don't even know why that's there. But that's funny though too, because this is what we do. Hey, so if we have more points scored, I don't know, whatever. I can't even bring that in.
Hey, no, we're good.
But
you're in the right vein, Clarence. This definitely you all taking this class, like I said earlier, is an investment in your family's future. It's an investment in building a legacy and some discipline for yourself, but overall things you can pass down to your family. One of the things I tell people is I wish that I was taught a lot of this information that I had at an earlier age, right?
Yeah.
Now, would it allow me to avoid everything? Obviously not. It's life, right? But it would have positioned me, like the amazing people that Zane had in her life, her dad and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It would have positioned me to be in a better place economically. I do know, just because I know who I am. It would have gave me the knowledge to at least, hold myself accountable, hold the people around me accountable, be able to deploy these strategies that we're learning and going to continue to learn within this cohort. One of the things we do want to say is this is not probably the traditional just lecture. We're completely interactive. We like to have fun during this time because I do believe that this is a space where you should be happy about talking about your budget. You should be happy about talking about resources. You should be happy to talk about finances and opportunities and stuff like that, and ways to make your life better. Our goal from Black State University's College of Business Financial Cohort is to create an avenue and give you resources and strategies to improve your life and improve your community. That community might be your family, the local community around you, and gain resource, knowledge, and information to live the lifestyle that you desire, that you want to live. So that's our goal. That's our hope as we move through the remainder of this cohort. We again want to reiterate what Clarence said. We do thank you for taking this time and opportunity and trusting us to give you this information as well. We're a team who've been together to make sure that you have as much information as possible. We will be delivering. You can access this information. We'll send it out. I think Clarence will be able to send this information out to you via email. There will be materials that are going to come to you, budget materials, websites, and applications that you can use within your own phone to help manage your budget. I use budget apps. I don't know who use budget apps, but I have budget apps on my phone. These budget apps are secure. You can link them to your bank accounts if you desire, and be able to keep a really good grasp on that. Again, the other part is should be an enjoyable experience. I know the part, man, when I first ever looked at my budget and decided I'm about to discipline myself, one of the hardest things, I was like, no, I don't make enough money. That was the biggest thing I said. I was like, I do not make enough money. How can I make more money? So there was classes I had to take. There was information I had to obtain. And then there were people that came into my life who are great friends now with me that's been on this journey with me. And some of them, we entered the journey together. So that's what I want to say. I'm excited for this cohort. I'm excited for what Black State's going to be able to offer to the masses. And thank you again. Turn it over to Z. She on this side of my screen.
Okay. This was great. I don't always talk a lot. I think that you guys covered a lot of great material. And like I said at the beginning, even for me helping put this together, it was just great reminders and more motivation to be more disciplined and to be more intentional about things. And so I think this was time well spent. And good job, everybody, in putting this together.
Yeah.
So last thing, share anything you learned, maybe a couple nuggets on your social media. We do want to drive traffic to individuals out there who definitely need this information. We know we put it together because we know our communities need this information. We know individuals need this information and can glean something from it. So share something that you learned today, share some information, if you feel it's going to be beneficial to somebody, encourage them to enroll in Black State University College of Business Financial Cohort. This is just the first step into a myriad of other things we have coming up that's going to be essential to individuals building great financial legacies. And with that, we are at 2 minutes. We're going to give y'all 2 minutes back to y'all day. Field mail, Clarence will reach out to you to set up a time to do some one-on-ones and really take a deeper dive into your finances and see where we can best assist you and help you out where needed.
Yeah. And you know what? So for next, and this was going to happen. So next week, we are going to, we'll have one like a breakout session where if you want to talk about your budget, you can. We can just kind of plug away for about 30 minutes or so about any questions that you may have with your budget. This is completely confidential. So this goes no further than any of us here. I'll send you an email to tell you exactly a good time frame for you. We'll probably, since it's going to be around the same time. So in between, let me see, that was 9 to 11 for you, right? 9 to 11 for you. So yeah.
Yeah, I just was looking at my calendar. So I work Monday through Saturday, so I'm only off on Sundays. Right now I have a client in the room, but I've been just kind of going back and forth trying to assess and do stuff. But most of my stuff's hands-on because I work at a med spa. So I have to I just looked at my calendar. I'm booked from 9 to 3.